Hey, what's up? It's Comic95 the Savior, and for this video I kind of want to do a continuation talking about something similar that I did in a previous video, which was about date rape in Japan, but rather for this video I want to focus on the consent aspect. So please keep in mind that this is a touchy topic, no pun intended, and that of course this is my own personal opinion, my own observation after having lived in Japan, dated here, worked here, studied here, etc., and befriended people here. So yeah, this is my experience. This is what I believe, what I have observed. Everyone will have a different opinion on this topic. People even have different definitions of what they classify as rape, what they classify as being consensual or not. So yeah. So it's not a doubt that everyone knows that I won't say there's a legitimate problem here per se with like molesters, etc. I made another video on that, but I will say that when it does happen, there is a problem as far as how the situation is handled. So I want to backtrack first and talk about that video on, people being groped on trains, etc. For starts, yes, it does happen. It is real. It's happened to me. But I also want to clarify that it's not something that happens as often as people think. I would argue that it's no more often than it is in your home country. For example, myself being from a major city in the US, in which we are notorious for crazy people taking the red line train and all type of stuff, I see it as being no different than that situation. The only difference is those trains are not normally so crowded that we are literally packed in together like sardines, where you cannot tell, who touched you, who did what, or was it an accident, was it on purpose, etc. So now that I got that out of the way, I really want to talk about the root of this issue. So let's just say it how it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I want to be clear. It's a serious topic, and I feel like the problem with talking about these things in Japan is that nobody wants to be blunt. Everything, kind of like how I just did, but everything always has to go back to the US, in which we make comparisons to try to make up for the fact that Japan is lacking in a certain area by saying, oh, well, this country's worse with this, or this country's the same as this. But I do want to make it clear that I'm not trying to scare you out of Japan. It's not some horrible place, and no, everyone's not like this, everyone doesn't think like this, but the country as a whole does believe or act this way. So in my opinion, from being a teacher, I've observed that I believe the problem with the way that women are treated comes from men, as we already knew, but the root of the problem is their upbringing, how different it is from women in Japan. So again, it's no secret, like I was saying, that Japanese people are sexist, they're misogynist, they don't filter what they have to say. It's so built and ingrained into Japanese culture that a lot of people don't even realize when they're saying something that is sexist and or basically disrespectful to you as a woman. The expectation that you will do womanly roles and womanly things, and it goes beyond just culture. It goes into your quality of life. The expectation to be treated like a decent human being is taken away, stripped from you, based on how you present yourself. And I'm not talking about it in a US sense in which people can argue, well, if you choose to be a stripper, if you choose to be whatever, then you're asking for it. Not saying that I agree with that, but I can understand the argument being made. It's wrong nevertheless, but again, being unbiased, I can see why somebody would say that. I don't agree with it, but again, I'm not gonna play sugarcoat, Captain Obvious, over explain myself. I'm gonna leave it at that. Get mad if you want to. But people do feel that way when it comes to basic things like clothing. So for example, something that I'm wearing right now, this is a full dress, might I add. I might as well have walked outside in my bra and panties based on what I have on right now, because I'm basically dressed like a whore by Japanese standards. You should not be wearing spaghetti straps and even being busty. Something that can be seen as modest on a Japanese woman, if you're wearing it, it's super revealing, super inappropriate. But this isn't supposed to be a video making differences between foreign women and Japanese women, but talking about consent and women in general, how they're treated here in Japan. So the biggest problem that I see is with children When you as a teacher, so speaking from my perspective as a teacher, when you observe things that are inappropriate with the student, it seems like it gets laughed off. Like, not just by students, which that's understandable, but Japanese staff, other teachers, the principal, like anyone else that you go to, there's an excuse for everything that happens that a guy does. And as a woman, or as a little girl in their case, you are expected to take the blame. You are taught that it is your fault. That guy wouldn't have touched you if you had on shoulder-length sleeves. He wouldn't have, saw your panties and pulled up your skirt if you had worn, shorts underneath. Like, everything is just, what happened? He shouldn't have done it. Haha, it's kind of funny. But it's actually your fault because you didn't dress appropriately. You should have predicted that this was going to happen type mentality. And I feel like that carries on. How can I say? I feel like it carries on until adulthood. So when you do have a situation where, as a woman, a Japanese woman, you're on the train and a guy decides to be a creep and wants to fill in your butt and touch you or brush up against you, it's your fault. Maybe you should have moved further away. Maybe you shouldn't have been in the, maybe you should have been in the woman's only car so that wouldn't have happened. Maybe you shouldn't have such big breasts. Maybe, you shouldn't have worn that skirt. Like, everything is just your fault, your fault, your fault. And when you do go to people that are, upper, someone that should help you, it's not really taken seriously. At the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, yeah, he touched you, but are you still alive? Did you die? Are you pregnant? No? Okay, so why are you coming to me? Like, what do you need the police for? What do you need to report this to your boss for? And the other thing, too, is I feel like you end up inside of power abuse situations. You're in situations where you feel like you can't speak up, you can't say something, because this culture has this whole mindset of don't disturb the peace, don't break the peace. And while it's easier to obviously do this in a train situation, you don't want to do it at work. If your boss is sexually harassing you, you know that by telling on him, or you can't go to the person that's hurting you, so by trying to go above him, you are guaranteeing that you're going to have problems with this guy in the future. Because now he doesn't trust you. Now he wants to seek revenge on you, and you most certainly will be passed up. When things like promotions come around, you'll, get the last pick when it comes to taking vacation days around the holidays. Like, everything is just the endless cycle of, yeah, they did me wrong, but is it worth losing my job? Is it worth losing my friends? Is it worth embarrassing my family for? It's like everything comes back to you as a woman. You have to think, am I going to cause myself all these problems, get no help, do nothing but come off as being the whistleblower, company snitch, tattletale, crybaby? And it's crazy that you have to think this way. So to get back on subject, talking about kids, I remember having situations both in my class and a co-teacher's class in which my co-teacher actually agreed with the Japanese approach, in which students were starting, they're like kindergarten and first grade age kids. They were starting to learn about, the fact that men and women are different. There's differences between our bodies. Women have breasts, just everything. And so I was specifically in a situation where she's not a co-teacher, but co-worker, another teacher for a higher grade, she explained to me that the way that she handled it was she had some boy students in her class that were drawing pictures of female body parts. So a girl's vagina and, breasts, and they were laughing at it, etc. And so I think they were like showing it to the girls, or just doing something really weird. And it seemed small and innocent, like I said, but I really could not disagree more with the way that they thought to handle this. So instead of saying, don't do that, it's inappropriate, it's wrong, it's not funny, their approach is, well, if we tell them that, then they're going to do it more. So let's pretend like it didn't happen, and instead I'm going to join in and do it with them. So her approach was, she's going to draw a picture of breasts on the board, draw a picture of vagina, and now they should no longer think that it's funny anymore. It should make them stop, because she's already done it, so it's not a big deal. The teacher did it. But the problem that I have with that approach is, you are normalizing the sexualization of women. You are normalizing sexually harassing the girls in your classroom by, showing them pictures that you drew of them with breasts, etc. You're not helping the issue. And it really disappointed me because she's a woman herself and she's 10 years older than me, more than 10 years older than me. So in my case, I had the boys at another school, once again, they made a game out of trying to look. It was like some Master Roshi type stuff, you guys. I don't know where they got this from. They wanted to look under the girls' skirts, so they made it a game to find a way to see the other person's panties. I will say, in all fairness, as messed up as it sounds, I do believe that it was done out of pure innocence. I believe they were boys. They didn't know any better and had no idea how wrong and inappropriate this was, especially since this was the opposite sex. But because of their age and their innocence, I don't honestly think it was intentional. But what doesn't change is the fact that the action is still bad. You don't have to punish the child for what they did, but you do need them to realize that this is not appropriate behavior. Because the problem is when you brush it under the rug, you pretend like it's not a big deal, you join in, you laugh, you just say, oh yeah, I'm gonna draw tits on, this person too. All you just did was say, okay, yes, of course, body parts are normal, we all have breasts, guys have penises, we get that, that's nice. But again, you're not addressing the problem at hand. You have to let the student know, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, you don't look under a girl's skirt. If you see that a girl's panties are showing, you tell her so that she can pull them down. And when I say them down, I'm obviously talking about her skirt or her dress, not her underwear. But it just like really aggravated me, because to me it's like, this is common sense. And so I know that people have different ways of disciplining and doing whatever, but I think even as far as that goes, like, I don't get it. I do believe that some things should be left to parents to explain, and that's how I felt about that. So her take on it was to not only draw it on the board, but to explain, this is guys' parts, this is girls' parts, and just go into detail about it to get them to stop, which I do believe, fine, maybe it will help them to stop doing it. But the problem is, you then come across another issue. I don't want my kid's teacher to be telling my 5 or 6-year-old the body parts of the opposite sex. I don't think it's necessary for them to know. This is personal preference, but that's why I say that as a teacher, it's not your job. My parents did not teach me the body parts that I had. I learned that as I got older. I was taught that this is my private area and that no one should be touching or looking there, except for if I go to see a doctor and it's for that reason, or of course my own parents when they bathe me, something like that. I don't think it's appropriate for you as a teacher to decide what students should know, especially when they're that young. You're not even dealing with kids that are in their double digits, like 10, 12 years old, whatever. So I'm not going to keep this on the topic of teaching, but my purpose in saying this was, I feel like it starts in the classroom. Teachers are taught to ignore it. They take the boys will be boys type attitude. Japanese parents are really like nonchalant, and I can't really explain it. They don't really care too much about what happened during the day with their kid. For starts, normally kids go straight home on their own. They walk themselves, they take a bus, and if their parent does pick them up, there's no real conversation being had. They don't really care about what happens during the day. If you give them advice, everything's taken personally, and you're more likely to have a parent or student leave for you trying to address an issue. So I don't even know what the solution is to this problem. I feel like there has to be a change with the culture of addressing issues before you can change the culture of people being touched inappropriately without giving proper consent and permission for these things to be done. Because the issue is that if something does happen, you're taught to not say nothing. And if someone does say something to you, you take offense to it, because now this person has embarrassed you by letting you know, hey, your kid is basically running around molesting the girls. So instead of you saying, oh, I'm going to teach my son not to do that, now you're so embarrassed for being called out that in most circumstances, even if the parent does discipline them, you kind of never know, because they'll just move to another school. And I think a lot of parents take it personally. They think that if you accuse the child of something, you're saying that they must be getting it from at home, which that's definitely possible too. But it can be anything. We have the internet now. Your child can be watching porn. They can be touched by another family member, a friend that could have seen something. It can be a total coincidence. You have no idea. There's a million different reasons why your child could have been doing this. And so I feel like that Japanese mentality of taking things personally or trying to hide and run away from your problems, it becomes a problem later on in life. And I just can't wrap my mind around it. The thing that I find to be the absolute craziest is the fact that most Japanese people They spent all of their time being raised by their mother. Their father slaved away at work for the entirety of their lives and pretty much just played dad on Sunday, walking around the train station or at the mall with their mom and dad together. Daddy's pushing the stroller, holding the baby. So I don't understand. For me, it's like, how can you be raised by not only your mother, but your grandma, and somehow turn out being a misogynist, somehow turn out being a molester, sexist, have all of these negative views and thoughts towards women? Like, I literally feel like in the eyes of most Japanese men, their only purpose here is literally two things. You are here for them to use as sexual objects, and if and when they are ready to push out their babies. And I think a lot of that, again, has to do with their culture. They have been taught that this is all women's purpose is for. And it's also why there's so many the standards for women, the beauty standards, everything here are ridiculous in comparison to those for men. For men, there's so much leeway. Girls don't care so much about how pale his skin is. Girls are more lenient about his weight. Girls are even more lenient about his height. Like, there's just so many different things. But as a woman, you can't be to this. You can't be to that. You need to have this complexion, this hair color, this size eyes. All of these different things that they have for what they want out of a woman, all in the exchange for a guy that's working an inky dinky job that if you wanted to as a woman, because most girls here do, to my knowledge, do choose to pursue college and get a degree. So it's not like these girls are literally dependent on this man, where it's like without him they would be nothing working at McDonald's. These girls are geniuses too. So you're supposed to give up your entire lifestyle for a sexist jerk that does nothing but give you the opportunity to become a mother, is basically what you get out of this. And so it really just makes me so angry, because I think to myself, the women that raised you experienced this because they're women too. They experienced seeing guys say and do things that made them uncomfortable, both as a student and in the workplace. And just in their day-to-day life, commuting, traveling, shopping. Why not do something to change the way that we talk about this? Why not do something to change the way that we treat this? I feel like a lot of people, on top of this, the way that, sexual harassment, molesting people, etc. is viewed is so strange. So as I mentioned inside my date rape video, a lot of people here, both men and Japanese women, they don't think that it is considered as rape or assault if you willingly went out with this person. They also don't think that it's considered inappropriate if you're dressed a certain way. If you're wearing revealing clothing, you clearly don't mind being touched. If you like to dress up, you like cosplay, etc., you clearly must love sex. Because you read manga, right? It's like, how do you even connect these things? And they don't see anything wrong with it. So again, I feel like so many of the problems that they have is literally just from the way that they were as children. Japanese people don't like to talk about anything. Everything just gets brushed under the rug. They act like it doesn't exist. Everything is laughed off. It's never the right time. And the sex ed classes here suck. We already know this. I cannot tell you how many guys I have both dated. And I hate to say this, I'm not trying to embarrass my own boyfriend, but I have to be real. Even my own boyfriend, a lot of them don't fully understand, how periods work. They don't understand, girls, sex-wise. It's all of their knowledge about women comes from pornography and the limited information that they got during sex ed. But unless you truly go out of your way to truly understand and learn about women and their bodies, you won't know. Because again, everything's this hush-hush secret society. Don't say anything weird. Don't say anything, that will disturb the peace. Don't say anything that'll make someone uncomfortable. But it ends up hurting people more in the long run. Guys don't understand girls' time of the month. Guys don't understand what girls want out of sex. It's there's just so many things that I feel all stem from how reverse things are at school. It also contributes to the reason why a lot of people here don't know how to use condoms properly, and they don't use them at all. A lot of people don't understand birth control. They don't understand a lot of different things. And again, it mainly comes from the fact that there's no information being shoved in their faces. If you want to learn about protection, you want to learn about these things, you pretty much have to search for it, because you don't get a lot of information about it publicly. Not from advertisement, not from school, not from your friends and family. It's just not talked about. It's taboo. And so same thing goes for sexual harassment and consent. It's not talked about. There are no TV shows, there's no commercials, there's no meetings, no books, etc. There's no discussions where people talk about what qualifies as consent. What is a definite yes, you can have sex with me? What is a definite yes, you can touch me? Yes, you can kiss me? A lot of people don't know. A lot of women think that what they're going through and experiencing is normal. They think it's expected. If something bad happens to them, oh, it's my fault. I shouldn't have been here this late. I shouldn't have worn this. I shouldn't have done whatever. And it's even funnier because even the sluttiest of outfits that you'll see here in Japan, they have nothing on what you'll see American girls wear. And I'm not trying to bash my country and compare like I was saying earlier, but I am American personally, so I'm just giving it as an example. And I think to myself, you could easily wear what you have on. And nobody would bat an eye, other than, of course, for the fact that you have a good body. You look hot. But it would never be a fear that, oh my God, I can't wear a V-neck because maybe somebody's going to grope my breasts. Maybe somebody's going to touch my butt if I have on booty shorts. It's really sad, scary, and crazy. And it's even crazier that there's a whole country of people, of over 100 million, that have been convinced, yeah, that's totally normal. Yeah, of course you shouldn't wear that if you don't want to be touched. I literally dated a guy, which I didn't know this until I was dating him. And I really liked this guy. And we somehow got on the topic of my body. And he was telling me I had complimented a girl's dress. And I was saying that the dress was really nice. And so after I complimented the dress, he was like, yeah, but it doesn't look good on her because she doesn't have a butt like you. And so I jokingly, told him that, he acts like a black guy, whatever. I'm being honest with you guys about what I said. Hear me out. And so I was telling him that, in America, most black men normally like girls that are curvy, that have a big booty. And that's really what started this whole thing with the whole Kim Kardashian, Brazilian butt lift, whatever type thing that they got going on. Long story short, after we, had ended that date, somehow we were walking at night. And he opened up to me thinking that I was going to laugh and told me that he used to go bar hopping, and he was telling me how he had a thing for butts, because I didn't know that he had a thing for butts even though I was dating him. And so he told me that he used to go to bars and he would pretend to accidentally touch girls' butts, and he would just say sorry. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that was supposed to be funny? So you just openly admitted to your date, your girlfriend, and told me that you're a molester, that you touch people against their will. I'm a girl, did you forget that? And I'm supposed to laugh at this, supposed to be cute, funny, whatever. And the crazy thing is, a normal Japanese girl would laugh at that. They would laugh it off. It would just be, oh, really? Oh, you're so bad type thing. And it's like, how is this cute? How is this okay? How is being a predator, a molester, a rapist, that's supposed to be funny? And so again, of course, he didn't do anything to these girls to my knowledge, other than, of course, touch their butt. But it's something small that leads to something bigger. You don't have permission to touch that person's body. Touching a girl's butt is no different than touching her breasts. You're violating her body. You don't have permission to put your hands on them. It's not okay. It's not a joke. A joke is me saying, oh, you act like a black guy. You like butts. I know white guys can too, and everybody else. I know. I'm black. But anyway, I didn't expect to hear that from him. What's not a joke is saying, yeah, I touch people without them knowing. Okay, and you were an adult when this is happening too. So the whole mindset, the whole way that they view these things, it just really, it kills me. And I feel like it's all so easily preventable. But nobody wants to speak up. Nobody wants to talk about it. And again, it all starts at school. I remember having to go to the principal at one of my schools and explain what I was observing in my classroom as being inappropriate. I felt like the boys inside of my class were doing some strange stuff with some dolls that I had. And they were, laughing about the fact that this Barbie doll, she had breasts, and they were taking off the doll's clothes. And I even had a female student, that was pretending to breastfeed one of the dolls in front of the boys. And she put it inside of her shirt. And again, to some of you, you'll be like, oh, well, it's normal, it's natural, it's breastfeeding, blah, blah. Again, two things. One, I feel like that's for a parent to decide what they want to teach and to tell their children. I don't believe you as a teacher should decide this. And two, I know myself as a parent, if I found out that my daughter is coming to school, pulling up her clothes in front of the boys and pretending to breastfeed a toy, I would be horrified, terrified. I don't know what I would do, because I would be wondering, where does she get this from? Why would she do that? Why would you pull up your clothes in front of the boys? What's going on? So of course, nope, my school didn't want me to say anything. So I had a meeting with them and I told them I don't feel like it's right. So it was just brushed under the rug, oh, boys will be boys type thing. And so it just really killed me, because again, small issue, but it builds up to things later. So sure, the boys are just joking, they're just egging her on to do it, and yes, in this case, the student, I assume, willingly did it, but of course it didn't end with her playing around like that. The boys started doing it too. So then I had boys on my class that were taking the Barbie dolls and forcing them up girls' shirts as a joke. And I'm like, wow, I wonder how it gets started here. Like that's literally the basis of how this stuff happens. You do something inappropriate, nobody calls you out, no one addresses it. People not only avoid addressing it, when they do see it, they turn a blind eye and they laugh at it. They laugh it off. Oh, it's just a joke. Oh, it's just a game. I literally had students, again, innocent thing, but this is where you have to start them young. They would come up to me, run and hit my butt as a game. And I had to explain to them, you don't touch people here, you don't touch people there, you don't touch people there. It's not appropriate. You don't have to scream and yell at them and embarrass them, but they need to learn now, because doing it to the wrong person can either cost you your life, ruin their life, or put you behind bars. You don't know what's going to happen. It's not appropriate. It's a personal, private space and area. You don't do that. Yes, they are children, but they need to learn. You don't have to go into specifics about why they don't do it. That's all they need to know. It's a personal, private area. You just don't touch these places. It's not right. And no one should touch you there either as a guy. And so I feel like people aren't hard on guys like how they need to be. You don't have to abuse them and beat down them no, don't do that. They're children, they have to learn. But if you don't correct it now, how can you expect that same boy that you let think it was okay to hit girls in the butt, that you let think it was okay to pull up girls' shirts and put a doll to their nipple, think that it's okay? It's okay then, but then you want them to magically learn that this is wrong once they become an adult, when they've gone their entire life. Their mom has said nothing. Their dad has said nothing. Their teacher has said nothing. Most people here don't even go to church. So it's there's no way that you'll know anything. Not through religion, which that can be crooked and messed up too, but we ain't finna go there. Not through religion, not through school, not through home, and even not through work. You're taught as a man that you're above women. You're above the law. You can't get in trouble. It's not even a matter of getting in trouble. It's not viewed as being bad. It's a light situation. It's funny. And I feel like the only reason why people have even been cracking down on train molestations and things like that is because it's become trendy. It embarrassed Japan, because now foreigners that come here, they've come here and they talk about it, they make YouTube videos. It's made the news. Because I always wonder, what made you randomly decide now to pretend like that's the one thing that you guys put your foot down on? We don't stand for this. There's signs inside of cars addressing molesters. There's signs at parks, etc. Why all of a sudden? This has been going on forever. And again, you don't hear much about it. You just see stuff every once in a while. You see a little sign here, little sign there, call this number. That's it. But the problem isn't that we as women should have to go out and seek help. You need to address the problem as a country, as a parent, Talk to your son. Your son is the issue. Yes, women can be molesters too, but let's be real. Most of these problems are coming from guys. I feel like both men and women both need to have the same conversation. You cannot just talk to girls about how they need to cover their bodies and protect themselves. You need to also talk to men and teach them that you cannot touch women without asking them. You don't talk to girls this way. You need to get consent in order to have any type of sexual interaction with them. You don't put your hands on someone that has not given you permission. They'll never have that conversation with men, but they love to tell you as a woman, oh, don't wear spaghetti straps. Oh, your boobs are too big. Wear a sports bra to flatten them. They'll tell you everything to do to change yourself, and it still won't be enough because your son, your husband, your boyfriend is so corrupted, so nasty. He'll touch you anyway. He doesn't care. You have to address both sides of the problem. Women who have been hushed and taught to say nothing, and men who have been taught they can do whatever they want to you. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I can go on talking about this forever. In a nutshell, because I know I kind of got all over the place, I really just feel like the big issue is, as I just said, girls are taught that this is normal, it's life, boys will be boys, expect it, dress nicer, be whatever, stay out of the way. And guys are taught, oh, it's just a joke, it's just fun, and it's laughed at both by other guys and girls that are older than these people. My principal was actually my boss. She was a female who had a son, and she didn't see anything wrong with the situation. To her, it's just kids playing around, it's nothing. But it's like, yeah, okay, how are you going to feel 5 to 6 years from now when these girls start developing breasts? Is it still just a game that this guy literally put his hand in her shirt? That's okay. So I feel the issue starts in school. Teachers spend the most time with students. They're with these kids more than their own mom and dad is. And even when the kids go home, society has built it up in a way where we're not really supposed to tell the parents what really happened during the school day. If we do tell them anything, it has to be because it was a life or death situation. Something seriously, really, really serious, really big. Otherwise, somebody touching you, molesting your kid, you don't need to know that as a parent, right? That's the way that they treat it here. It's not a big deal. I don't understand that, and I can never, ever, ever support that and be okay with that. And I hate that when you do talk about it to them, they deny that that's what really happened. In their mind, again, just being kids or just playing, oh, you need to loosen up, whatever. And as someone that has been a victim of being molested as a child and of adults ignoring me because, oh, it can't happen, your family's Christian, oh, it's a Christian school, oh, I know that person. Because of that, I never got the help that I needed. Even now to this day as an adult, I don't care so much anymore because I'm grown. I no longer live in the US, but I don't want other people to have to go through what I did. And if I can do something to help a student, even if I'm wrong, I would rather die knowing that I did everything that I could to try and help that child than to die knowing, oh, I could have helped someone and I didn't. You don't have to go around accusing people or telling kids, hey, you're a molester, don't touch that girl. They have to learn. You can talk to them nicely, professionally, and explain, you don't do this, you don't say this, you don't draw that, this is not right, it's inappropriate, it's not normal. They need to understand that it's not normal. That is the biggest thing, is that we keep normalizing women being violated, normalizing women being, sexualized, and not in a way where you can admire a woman for being sexy, but in a sense that because she is sexy, because she is this sexual being, she doesn't deserve feelings, she doesn't deserve rights. She's just a whore that you can do whatever you want to her, and if she complains, tell her that she shouldn't look that way, and then it won't happen. That's the way that we've built society here. So I really hope to see that change in my lifetime. I hope at least my children can, or someone else. But if I do have a son, if I do have a daughter, I want them to have the same conversation. You can't get help and resolve problems with consent, with sexual assault, with rape, with anything else if you don't speak to both girls and guys, and not to make it fair, because I know guys will be like, oh, well, girls do it too. That's not my purpose in saying it. I'm saying this because if you're having two separate conversations, how do you know that both men and women have been advised the same way? You can't expect people to know the same thing when they've been taught different things. There needs to be some type of similarity, consistency, and there's not. I don't believe that sex ed should be separate. I also believe that a part of sex ed should be talking about consent. People need to understand what qualifies as consent, and they also need to understand how consent can be taken away. Being someone's boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, wife, husband, it does not make you a free-for-all sex machine where they can fuck you at any time and you can't say no. That's not what marriage is. That's not what a relationship is. You have to ask every time. It's like borrowing money from someone. Somebody can give you $10. It doesn't mean you can keep going in their bag and taking $10 because they said, yeah, you can use my money. Yeah, you can use my card. They didn't say for life. Just the $10 for now. You need more money, you ask me, and if I choose to, I can give it to you. I might have $10, but maybe I don't want you to have it right now. Maybe I want to use it. Maybe I want to keep it to myself. That's the way consent works. So anyway, I'm done with my rant. I'm sorry. Once again, it can go on forever, so I'm just going to end it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and leave a comment down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would appreciate it if you watch another video as well. And as always, you can follow me on my social media accounts. I have an Instagram and Twitter account that you can follow. You can add me on Snapchat, and I would like it if you would like my Facebook fan page as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.